If you do not pay yourself as a business owner, your business will shut down sooner rather than later. Yes, I said it. And in this video, I'll show you exactly the importance of why you should pay yourself as a business owner and how to do so. One of the biggest mistakes that business owners make is not paying themselves a salary from their business. So they do either of two things. They assume that all business money is their money, which is wrong, or they don't pay themselves at all because they feel guilty or they feel like their business is just not there yet. And that's a big mistake. Here's why. Well, you're robbing your business of the ability to determine its true cost of operations. The reason why you started that business is for that business to succeed, to establish and get to a point where it can take care of not just its immediate obligation, but also take care of you, right? So if you're not paying yourself a salary, right, from your business, that means that you truly do not know what it costs you to run that business. And if the business cannot take care of you, how can that business scale, right? If you were to hire someone else to manage that business, I'm sure you would definitely be paying that person. So that is one of the reasons why you must pay yourself a salary in your business. For some people, it's not even really a question about whether or not they should pay themselves. It's how. How should they do that? Well, it's simple. You want to make sure that you set an allocation, right? It's not based on feelings. It's not based on emotions. It doesn't mean that your business made ₦1 million last month and then you feel like, oh, okay, after everything we're left with like 300,000. You know what? I'll just pay myself 299,000. No, it's not based on feelings. It's based on practical numbers. Business is numbers, right? So what is a fair allocation? That's the next question that comes to mind. Well, a lot of people do 10%. Some people do 20%. Some 30%, depending on the business. These are all very healthy margins that you can pay yourself as a business owner, depending on what you're earning. And once you begin to do this, the next thing that now happens is you now run into a dilemma. Well, okay, my business is growing or has grown over time. Am I still supposed to pay myself the same thing I was paying myself before? No, but there's another formula for that. So if your business is growing, how do you also give yourself raises? Well, first thing before you give yourself a raise is to grow your reserves. So grow your company's reserves first before your next raise. That again also helps you set some discipline into how you give yourself raises, into how you take from your business, okay? Your reserves here is how much you put away, right? Not to your personal bank account, to your corporate bank account, how much you put away in your business to reinvest in growth, right? Advertising, new hires, and so on. So after everything, how much do you keep aside, right? It's called a reserve. It's called a reserve. Some people know it as retained reserves, profit reserves, as the case may be, but fundamentally it's called a reserve. And if your business does not have a reserve, you need to make sure that you institute a reserve because you are going to need it, right? Your reserve acts also as your emergency fund, okay? Assuming your business has a not so good month the next month, what happens? You would most likely have to tap into your reserves to cover some, fundamental operational expenses. So that's why reserves are so important. And they serve as a way to also discipline the business owner to ensure that they're not just taking money out at will, right? So this is the simple formula that you can use to operate. Set an allocation, 10, 20, 30%. Some people, depending on the business case, might even do 5, right? 5%, 5, 10, 20, 30%, whichever it is. This is a very safe zone, right? And then once it's time for a raise, you can only know by growing your reserves. So as your business is growing, keep more cash away, and then you can give yourself a raise. So this is a very simple formula on how to pay yourself as a business owner. Remember, this is very important because paying yourself helps your business know the true cost of operations. If your business cannot pay you, then you need to do a lot more work to ensure that your business can. Because the idea is to get to a point where you're working on the business and not in the business. And for you to work on the business, at some point, you might need to hire more hands, right? You don't want to be stuck in a business where it can only be you, it's only you, it doesn't grow beyond you, it doesn't grow beyond a certain staff strength, right? You want to make sure that your business can afford to make hires. And that is why it's important to include the cost of keeping the business owner running too, right? To show the true cost of operations. And then once you want to get started, just set an allocation, 5%, 10%, 20%, 30% of your profit, right, to pay the owner. And once it's time for a raise, how would you know? You would have grown your reserves by almost a similar amount too as well. And then you can give yourself a raise. So that's exactly how to pay yourself as a business owner. So if you're not already paying yourself a salary, now you know exactly how to pay yourself as a business owner. So get to work, make that allocation already, and start paying yourself so your business knows the true cost of its operations. And of course, you as an owner is taken care of.